Hello, everybody. We are here. Hello. All right. So let's see. Have we got? Yeah, we do. That's good. All right, we're on. Oh, that's much darker than I think that's the one I want. Okay. I'm just fiddling around with color correction and whatnot. Yes, the quiz. Thank you very much for joining in with that. That was chaotic, but somehow managed to hold together. I want to actually thank, I should verify the winners there because I think that would be only fair. Let me see if I can find the spreadsheet. But I had to go through it and change the ranges of the adding ups and all of that kind of business, which I did do. Let me just let's see if I open that spreadsheet. It might give me the winners. Yeah, it was Wagyu, Wagyu with 32, Azio Head with 27, and Dave Bolden with 25. Wagyu and Azio Head were given prizes, I assume. I hope they got their prizes. I think it was GeForce plugin and an audio damage plugin of choice. So thanks to everybody for that. But yeah, right, I'm just going to hit go on that because then I got my backup. Have I got enough? Yes, there's enough there. Right. I'm well, everybody. Thanks for asking. Seems to have been a really long time. Yeah, stream's up, IRC's working. Good. I'm glad to hear all of that. Today we've got, all being well, we've got Rich Hilton and Ty Unwin on. So yeah, it's going to be a fun show, as usual. Right, so everything is kind of ready to go. I'm hoping, let's just resize that. Wagyu, yes, GeForce. Wagyu says he's got a GeForce virtual string machine. Sounds excellent. Fantastic. I don't know. I didn't get a response from Audio Damage, so I can follow that up. If that hasn't happened, do tell me and I will chase it up. Because I know it's been Christmas break and everything's been a little bit disjointed. But it was jolly good fun. It was just, I think lessons were learned. One, get the spreadsheets right, but two, maybe not so many questions. Because it was all a bit hurry because it went on for ages and we didn't really have much time to chat. So but yeah, good. And Ty did some excellent picture rounds in case you hadn't guessed who it was. We will have Ty on hopefully later. Right, let me see. So right, is there a show? There is a show this week, Lady Aptitude. And there we go. Steve Elbow says, vet the questions from Mark. Yes, they were quite obscure, and I did try, but he was adamant that Duran Duran were massive in the US, so would have, there probably would be some super fans out there, and I'm not one to argue with that. I couldn't, so, but yeah, I would much appreciate. Some of them were darned. I think some of mine were really difficult, and one of them was just plain wrong, which I think was what links Arturia and Bruce Willis. Because either way, it was Deep Impact and obviously the Drum Brute Impact, but it wasn't. It was a different film. Well, there you go. That's just the way it goes. All right, I'm getting notifications, so I need to turn those down. Let's get that off. Go into there. I think that works. Who was that from? Oh, that's my mobile phone telling me my bill is ready. I don't really want to see that. But anyway, yeah, I hope you all had a restive festive, as we like to say, non-denominational or whatever it may be. I certainly did. It was quite good, I think. Just felt slightly ill throughout all of it, which is just one of those things. And sadly, my daughter got the winter the winter bug, which is but only on Boxing Day. So we got Christmas Day out of the way, and she's been revising for her mock examinations, which is obviously quite stressful. Okay, excuse me. Armageddon, Marshall Arnold says. That was the film, yes. You're absolutely right. So anyway. Okay. I quite enjoyed doing the quiz questions. I will do some more at some point. I think what I should do is, now I've got it set up, I could have one in the wings so that if there's ever no guests, I can just bring out a little quiz and we can do an impromptu quiz. But I need to get... So if anyone wants to send any questions in, they would only need to be 5 questions, so we could have all sorts of things. I mean, I think the only thing I wanted to do was... I didn't want to do multiple choice, although lots of people ended up multiple choice. And it does make it easier to mark, I suppose, because it's auto marking. But it's just a bit more complicated. I suppose it could work. Don't mind. I just need to modify the forms. Am I hearing a phone go? No, maybe not. So, what's going on? Another quiz, says Cameron Clark. Well, perhaps not today, but sometime. That was in the YouTube chat room, I do beg your pardon. So, a bit rusty, as you can imagine, but the technology's working, which is a good start. So, what do we got? So we're just waiting for Rich and Ty to show up, but it's a bit early. So, we got plenty of that. So yeah, what a year! So I mean, I didn't actually I haven't got any of them in the chat room because in the topics, but Berenger threw out a whole bunch of stuff. We got the Octave Cat, or was it Kitten? Octave Kitten, and the did anyone see the Clark Technic Dimension D alike? That looks kind of interesting. But yeah, and of course we got the Wave State, which we'll be talking about. Let's see, what other questions have we got coming in via the chat room? I hope you all had a good time. 603, yeah, I've got that plugged in. I've got my I can put that over there now, can't I? Ooh, I've got my Facebook stream over there. That's good. That means I can just chuck it on another monitor. And we're all nearly ready for NAMM. Got our appointments slotted in, very full. That's assuming that all the planes aren't grounded, of course, but I won't get into that. Right, okay, so what other chats are coming in? Message held for review, blah, 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 blah. So the next winner will be the one who anonymously sends all the questions. Well, yeah, we can't have anonymous questions. Obviously, people who send the questions in can't answer their own round. That wouldn't be fair, would it? Right. Let's see where we are now. Okay, oh yeah, we got our rosettes have arrived, ready for NAMM. This is no expense spared. Now, you may wonder why we don't present lovely vinyl The reason is because I take them with me and they fit in a suitcase. Ah, there's Rich Hilton. Can't hear him yet. I can't tell if he's moving. I think what he's done is he's logged off and come back. He'll come back on shortly with his... Oh, there he is. Can we hear him?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Good grief.
Good.
That's almost first time. Well, that was first time.
Well, no, I had to actually log on and log off when I realized that I had the other microphone connected.
Yeah, I know how it goes. But pretty smooth. Pretty smooth for a 2020, first show of 2020 with a couple of weeks
for
off.
an old man.
Hardly. Oh, did you have a birthday recently?
Well, in November. Oh, thankfully, I have them in November.
Ah, okay, yeah. So you get to have a birthday. I know quite a lot of people who, in fact, I know two people whose birthday is on Christmas Day.
Ah, yeah, that's complicated.
Yeah, well, it means one is my niece, who we have to make a special effort to remember to buy a birthday present as well as a Christmas present. Because otherwise it gets forgotten about. I do remember that year, actually. They were all due to come over for Christmas lunch, and it was like, yeah, I can't. we're giving. I think, or maybe we had Dad and the other kid. I can't remember now. My domestic arrangements are probably of no interest to our audience, I'm sure.
Of course they are. Of course they are.
So yeah, hopefully we've got Ty as well.
Aren't you the number one music technologist, podcaster, or something like that?
No,
you're in the top.
You're
in the top few.
I was number 3 this year. Well,
you're in the top few.
I like to think it's Sonicstate, I think, rather than just me. I think
you're number 1 in our hearts, Nick.
Bless you, Rich. I'll keep feeding you those lines, and you can just keep boosting my ego. I need it before Nam, because Nam has a habit of just draining everything from one's soul because it's such hard work. But are you going to be going out there this year, or are you going to be this side of the pond instead?
None of the above. I'm not going. Well, I have a lot going on here, and as you know, I've been on the road a lot. So I think the thing to do is to miss it this year. Yeah. Since I don't already have a plan, and trying to make one at this stage is pretty insane, I'm going to let it go this time. I have a lot, like I said, I have to travel this weekend, and I have to go see somebody next weekend anyway. So
okay.
Yeah. I'll miss you all.
Well, that's all right. I mean, it's always a little bit awkward. Well, it can be awkward just because we're working so hard that, I know that Tori Letzler's coming over on Thursday. She said, hey, let's hook up, and I'd really love to meet her, but Thursday's going to be so difficult because it's the first day and everything's kind of goes. But hopefully I'll get a chance to say hi anyway.
Or perhaps after the show closes, you guys can arrange to sit down and have a drink. No, I mean, that's where a lot of the socializing occurs. It is for
other people.
I'm not trying to be dark about it.
No. I know. We Thursday is just literally we hang. It's usually not the case. Saturday's our drinking day, in terms of actual kind of going right. We're stopping work and now we're going to the bar. Whereas other ones we have to basically we go straight back.
Well, you basically have to run straight back and start preparing things for publication, basically.
Yeah, that's the kind of drill. So but we try and do all of that in situ. Before we've left the building, and then all we have to do maybe is go back and write a couple of stories or publish a few headlines or whatever it may be. We don't actually have to do a lot of work because by then the bandwidth is gone. We're usually sort of unable, certainly the first day. Come in please, Mr. Ty Unwin. Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Excellent.
Is it okay sound-wise?
Yeah, it's fine. You've got the blues on. Are you trying to change the shape of your head? It's like a brace for your skull, those blue headphones. They're very tight, aren't they?
They are.
For too long, you end up with a kind of like slightly elliptical face. Yeah.
That's what I'm going for. I'm going for New Year's resolution is to lose weight on my face. And I thought one of the best ways to start was just to squeeze it all down so the fat just turned into I thought it was a great way to start,
I think you could be right, actually. I mean, the blue headphones are amazing and they sound amazing, but as many headphones will sound really good when you can press them on hard enough, and they've got some serious springs in those. I
need that at the moment because one of my ears is a bit screwed at the moment.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, really. It's not been great. Yeah, since before Christmas.
Oh. Boy.
Yeah, it's I got a cold and it kind of got blocked up. And I went to the doctors and they gave me some antibiotics in case there was an infection. And then I had to go to an ear specialist and they've given me some more medicine. Apparently it's just an inflamed eardrum, so it will correct itself eventually. But in the meantime, I'm literally walking around as if I've got one hand against my ear all the time. I had that for a while actually. I mentioned it because just before Christmas, I was having real trouble with my ears, and they got syringed, and a significant amount of detritus came out. And they tried. I could hear again. Well, I had them. No, I had them. I had microsuction, which is like that's the kind of. So I had microsuction, and she was going, "Oh yeah, when we get rid of all this, it'll all be fine." She got rid of it all, and then went, "Oh no, it's not fine." So
how could she tell?
Because she could see my eardrum at
jack
last.
plug or something.
Yeah. No, she could see it was
the same
inflamed.
headphones as you were.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, hi, Rich.
Hey, Ty.
Oh, hey!
Nice to see you here.
We haven't been on for ages. together.
And I haven't seen you for ages, so this is great.
We haven't seen you for ages. We're making up the Velcro gang. It's great. It's just never let us in the same room. We'll never split up.
Well, that'll come next year, I'm sure.
Yeah, I hope so. I can't believe I went a whole year without seeing you, one way or the other.
Well, they don't.
Yeah.
But we managed to get.
They don't get sick of our music, so it's good. Pardon me?
We managed to get one in, I think, didn't we? Where did we? What date were we? Was it in the summer sometime? We went for that meal, didn't we? At in Bath.
Well, I came into the show. Wasn't that the time I came and did the show with Mark and his computer guitar?
Oh gosh, yeah, that's right. Because we did it. On the sound stage, as ostentatiously we'll call it.
That could have been really awkward. That could have been that occasion with you going, do you remember, Rich, when we met up in the summer? You remember when everyone came? The team were there. Do you remember everyone? When everyone got
no, not that time.
Apart from
not that time, yeah.
I never laid a hand
so
on her,
easily
Your
could.
Honor.
The way that memory plays tricks these days, right?
I'm actually going to go and see. Have we got 5 minutes? I'm just going to see if I can find a pair of in-ears with wires, because all my in-ears now don't have wires. But let me go and see if I can find a pair, just because these are really squeezing my bloody head. So I will go and find some. Okay.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's absolutely fine by me. Whatever makes you comfortable is entirely fine.
So speaking of not having wires, I don't know if I've told you about this. Sennheiser Momentum.
Oh, no.
Where is it? Over there.
All right.
So these are your wireless Bluetooth Sennheiser product.
Right.
And they sound really, really great. They're not cheap.
No, I see them. Have they got noise cancelling as well?
Cheap. I don't know if they do. I don't think so. They just fit well, so I don't get a lot of leakage. It sounds great. The bottom's good. But the one thing I will say for them, and it may be just because I use them so occasionally, but they take a long time to charge, and they don't hold a charge in a unused state as long as I'd like. So I'm constantly reaching for them and having I'm sure that if I press this button right now, I'm going to get it's absolutely 100% dead because I haven't charged it lately.
That's not good. I've been hearing a lot of good reports about the new Apple, whatever they're called, the earbuds.
Yeah, me too.
People have been swearing about it. I know Russ over at the expert sites. He says that the noise cancellation is astonishing. They're really, really good. But I haven't got an Apple product to pair them to, so it wouldn't be pointless for me. And
I don't know.
I am not sparing.
I'm
not going to spend a pair, sort of 250 quid on a pair of things that I could very easily lose or whatnot. I just couldn't. I couldn't bring myself to do it.
Well, I was impressed, and I do spend some quality time listening to things. So
yeah, absolutely,
it meant something to me. I mean, it's not like I don't have. Right now I'm using my backup stage in-ears. I have two pairs of, I have stuff all over the place now. So it's not like I didn't have other alternatives. It was I wanted a Bluetooth set of headphones. I didn't realize that I wish it held the charge longer. That's
I would love to be wireless headphones for show stuff, but the latency I fear would be a little bit of an issue. What I want is to come out of my camera and just be able to kind of, monitor without having to have a wire connection. Understood. Because so often I'm like this, and then I suddenly need to put something down, and I put it down, and I forget, and I pull on the earphone, and it's just, it's never.
There we go. There we go. That's better.
You just loosen the spring off.
I feel less like a penis in a condom.
Hey. There we go. Right. Okay. Well, it's in fact 2 minutes. We've still got 2 minutes. So we'll we can.
Well, Happy New Year to you. I mean, Happy New Year. I mean, what a biggie.
It is. You look very well, actually. I can tell you're rested, Ty. Have you been getting plenty of sleep and just? I have been getting
a fair amount of sleep, to be fair.
Yeah.
And plus the fact that, joking aside, because my ear's a bit screwed, it means that every time I've come down to the studio to do anything, I kind of do 10 minutes of it and just go, oh God, no, this is real pain. So not done anything. I did a bit of stuff with Midge on Monday, but that was it, So it's Yeah, it's been good.
Enforced wrist.
Yes, exactly. I mean, the funny thing is, if it was time over the last many decades, I'd be totally screwed. But somehow it's going to line up with the fact that I'm taking it easy.
Yeah.
So kind of.
Well, you look well on it. Unfortunately, your bandwidth isn't doing so well. I'm getting a bit of a bit of that going on, but
not again.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, that's the way it goes, isn't it? We had the internet went down in our house this morning. In fact, for the whole area. That's just the way it goes sometimes. I think it's. I don't know what it is. I think maybe it's a sales issue. You know, they go, oh well, if you upgraded to the new one, then you would have. This would be even more annoying because you'd have no speed and then
you'd
more
be
than
paying
you need.
more.
Well, the only good thing is that because, as you know, everywhere and they've just fitted the ultra fast fiber whatever village.
So you're going to be getting that, are you?
Come on. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the moment that comes online, I'll get that. So hopefully that will solve these issues.
Yeah, I'm sure, because it is in the middle. It is, you are in the sticks, as it were, or out of the, away from the exchange, shall we put it?
Yes,
right, I think we
exactly.
could do a show. I think there is actually potential to do a show. Let's see if everything works. So, standing by. I think I pressed this button. I'm just trying to remember, actually. It's been such a long time. I need to get my get that ready. Okay, so let's do a show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sonic Talk, the first one of 2020. In fact, well, I don't know what to say. I mean, it's. We've had a couple of weeks off. It's been Christmas or whatever it is, or then maybe you don't. Maybe you guys didn't have a break. I can't speak for everybody, but we certainly did. It's our first podcast back. Actually, I came back in on the 2nd, but obviously the way it fell, it's the first Wednesday. So welcome everybody. 603. Let's hope for 2020. It sounds like there's lots of gags for clarity and vision and all of those things there. But this is the podcast to do with music technology and synthesizers and all that. And in fact, this is the week just before NAMM, which, if you don't know, is the biggest show, sort of international trade show, where we get to see a lot of the first looks at all this new technology that's coming out. Lots of interesting stuff and instruments. And in previous years, I've said, oh, let's do a pre-NAMM preamble. But what tends to happen is nobody can talk about anything because they've all signed NDAs. So it seems a bit pointless, really. We might talk a little bit about NAMM this week, but next week we will be in Anaheim from Wednesday. We arrive Tuesday. There'll be our usual live blogs, and then the videos will be coming on stream. We usually post around about 100 videos from NAMM, and I think we'll probably, no reason to believe that we wouldn't do any less this time unless there's some sort of catastrophic tech event, but who knows. But let's get on to our guests, because we haven't seen them since, we'll start actually with Mr. Ty Unwin, media composer who's had a bit of a break, as his winter break, and he's looking well rested for it, and all those things. How are you, Ty? You well?
I'm good, but as we were just saying, talking about tech disasters, if my broadband's a bit ropey, I do apologise. Can't do a lot about it at the moment, right now.
But 2020 might bring new bandwidth, as we know, so that'd be awesome.
It will change, so hopefully, yes, it will all change in this area, and I'll actually get a bandwidth slightly wider than a very thin thing and slow.
And slow. So I have to ask, obviously you haven't been sort of working for the last couple of months as hard. Anyway, I'm not saying not working, but you've kind of taken your foot off the gas for a break. Does that mean you've had time to look into and purchase new equipment? And if so, what might that have been? I'm just curious, because I know you're terrible for your new technology.
No, I'll be honest with you. I've bought a couple of things. I think I told you I bought a Minilog XD rack, and I bought a Microfreak, and I've ordered some bits that we can talk about in a bit. And there's some bits I'm going to order. But I'll be honest with you, because I've kind of taken a break and taken my foot off the gas away from the studio for some time. Honestly, I've wanted to fill my head with absolutely anything except tech and gear, mainly because I think, as I said to you before, this place has got to be ripped apart, and I've got to do some major work with the studio and maybe knocking the whole thing down and starting from scratch and new buildings, etc., etc. And the thought of doing that, as you can appreciate, every time I think about it and I sit down and I plan it for 5 minutes and then go, I wonder if my socks need washing. Because anything, when it comes to ripping it back and starting from scratch, anything is more appealing. So I've just been buying bits and bobs, but nothing particularly. And honestly, because I've had the time off, it's actually getting the big things out that I've never really had a chance to properly play with, and going, oh, so that Moog one, let's switch it on.
Yeah.
So it's been mainly, not buying loads of new stuff, but ordering lots, as we'll talk about.
Well, speaking of the Moog one, I think the Moog one 1.12 or 1.2, I'm not sure which firmware came out over Christmas. I'm not entirely sure what it is. My Moog experience has left now. I shipped one of them back today. There's another one got to go on back to the States, because we had a couple here, and I did publish the review, and I was quite honest about how I felt about the firmware and all of those things. Check the review out anyway.
And so you should be. It was a good review, and I think it was an honest review, and I think it needed to be said. The latest version just solves some of the issues, but it's not perfect yet. But it was an honest review, so I enjoyed it.
Well, thank you. It was a very difficult one to perform, actually, because it's you feel the weight of expectation and all the politics and stuff in that with something of such large magnitude. But anyway, I enjoyed it generally. And we also have Mr. Rich Hilton, who's been at home for a little while and has after much touring with Chic, as well as being working in the studio and whatnot. So have you been busting your chops on your Rolly, or are you saving yourself for the Osmos? Did you take the plunge on the Osmos? I'm just curious, because you might be the guy that's aimed at.
I might have thought I was the guy it was aimed at, but these days I don't think so much, but I need to play it before I'm going to go all in like that. I didn't take to the Rolly the first time either, and I really take to it now. I've been actually practicing piano a lot because my dear old Steinway has made it home, and I play it very regularly to keep things up and work on new stuff, and I quite enjoy that these days. And I play a lot of guitar. So a lot of guitar and piano these days, and some Rolly. The Rolly's always right here and at the ready.
Rolly at the ready. That sounds like it could be on a T-shirt or something. Oh, maybe.
Well, they're welcome to call my agent. No, I'm just kidding. We'll work something out.
Well, I hope you both had a lovely festive break and all of those good things. And I should mention actually, we're still running, as well as our friends over at Isotope, which will be showing the competition a little bit later. We've got this offer from Splice. I'll play something fully on it a little later on, but you could get a credit, because I've been talking to people about Splice. Apparently it's really, really taken off, and lots of people are buying beats and all those kind of things on it, and it's an interesting model. So anyway, if you want to get 1 month's free credit, you can use the code Sonicstate 100, and there's a URL there which I won't attempt to read out. I'll stick it in the show notes because it's a series of numbers and letters that I'll only mess up. But if you do that, you get 30 days, 1 month free for access to the 100 credits per month plan, which you could just cancel afterwards if you don't want to continue, or you may continue also. But more on that a little bit later. So, there are a bunch of things coming. I mean, so here comes NAMM. I suppose, even in my preamble, when I said we shouldn't really talk, we never really make much success of this, but NAMM is going to be coming. And it's interesting. The shape of it is a little bit different this year, because a lot of the kind of smaller boutique manufacturers, particularly the modular guys and gals, are gravitating more towards Super Booth, which is equally large and is a bit more synth, a lot more synth focused. So there will be a bunch of synth stuff there, obviously, but perhaps not to the same degree as there has been in previous years, and that's just the natural ebb and flow. I mean, to be honest, Berlin's kind of a bit cooler than Anaheim, but you do get the sun in Anaheim. But if you come from the sun, then maybe it's not such a big thing. I'm personally very much looking forward to it. But it's going to be a massive show. We've got a ton of stuff. I mean, there's, as usual, Roland have announced a bunch of stuff previous, because they're both at CES, as well as Yamaha are, and also so are Korg. And Korg have a release schedule. So far, we've had the Wave State. Actually, maybe we should just do that, because that's actually probably the biggest thing. I mean, that video that we shot, Ed shot it for us at Korg HQ earlier in December, and it's just gone huge.
Hi, Luke from Korg here. I'm here to show you a brand new product we just brought out, which is called the Wave State. So this is a reimagining of our original wave station from way back in 1990, still keeping that wave sequencing element and of course the vector joystick from the original wave station, but adding a load of real-time control and also separating out the wave sequencing into different lanes, which you can check out with these buttons and also on the screen here, and then you can follow that lane individually with the steps here. I'll show you how that works, but let's have a listen first, give you a flavour of what it can sound like, and then I'll take you through some of the features.
It's funny, actually, straight in with a sort of 90s game audio demo. There are some other really exciting sounds in it. This just shows a lot of stuff. Again, I won't play it all. Yeah, it's on the YouTube channel. You can watch it. It's one of us. But it's got, people have really seemed to have gone for this, because the Wave Station is one of those synths that people have always been saying, when Korg have released their virtual versions and sort of smaller versions and whatnot, Wave Station, Wave Station, Wave Station. Everybody's saying. I know. I don't know, but Ty, were you a Wave Station? Have you? You must have a Wave Station there somewhere in your archives, right?
You're talking to kind of it's either the wrong person or the right person. Huge Wave Station fan. So I had a Wave Station, then I had the EX, and I've still got the Rackman. I've still got the AD, and humongous fan of the Wave Station. And so this for me is incredibly exciting. I think the only problem I have with all of this is it is essentially that preset sums it up, really, which is the issue with the Wave Station from day one was always the fact that all of a sudden you could play one note and it was instant track that ended up on every cop drama for a chase scene, and say every film score suddenly have a Wave Station all over it, and it was all just the presets, and it was I hated that side of it, but the reality was once you dug into it, the synthesis in that thing in the original was incredible. It was amazing, and so now to kind of have that on steroids is really exciting. So.
Yeah, I mean, I just looking at some of the stuff that it could do. I mean, we got 64 stereo voices, model filters. So I guess it's sort of bringing a bunch of tech together at the same. I'm guessing it's using some of that new tech stuff, some of the Prologue, where you've got maybe some DSP models, and I don't know exactly, but it does sound very interesting. And the idea that some of the patches are just overly animated to my ear. It's like, okay, just calm down. Let's have something a bit simpler, But I mean, I understand the need for that in a demo. You've got to get the wow thing. So.
The nice thing was, because I mean, half the reason I bought an Oasis back in the day was because people don't really even know this, but on the Oasis, they basically kind of reinvented the wave station within the Oasis. So there's a whole wave sequencing section within the Oasis. That's what drew me into the Oasis. And so they developed it a bit more then, because you could essentially mix the synthesis from the Oasis with the Wave Station with all the filters and whatever from the Oasis. So that was a great start. But what's great about this is, upping the voices to 64. It says 64 stereo voices. I'd love to know whether that actually means with all 4 elements at the same time, because with the original you had 32 elements. So if you had 4 elements within a vector synthesis or 4 sequences, you only had 8-note polyphony. So I'd love to know quite what 64 stereo voices means.
That's true. Yeah.
But with all the filters, kind of these modeled filters, because the original one didn't even have resonance on the filter. So yeah, well, I know you can't even imagine it now, but it didn't have resonance. And yeah, that was that was a big thing that everyone wanted resonance. Do you know they even went to the lengths of sampling, which I never got. They went into sampling waveforms with different levels of resonance, with the idea that you did a wave sequence of those different elements
Wow.
to actually make it sound like it had resonance. And all the time I was going, why didn't you just bloody put resonance on it? But anyway, it's a great synth, and this looks like it's going to be, even better. Can't wait. Absolutely can't wait.
Yeah, I know, Rich. I mean, did that figure in, at the greatest hits of? I guess it would have been what the '90s synthesizers for you, the Wave
Absolutely
Station?
Loved it. But as with, well, first of all, well, you mentioned the cop drama thing, and I stand guilty as charged. But everybody,
Well done.
I was instantly intrigued by wavetable synthesis because of the possibility of using the wavetable in much more subtly with respect to motion in synthesis.
Absolutely,
that wasn't filter derived, and that's what really interested me about it. And so, as with the original, all the demos go bop boom tick bop boom boom bop boom bop boom 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 bop boom, and that doesn't tell me anything. I mean, what I need to know is, how does it sound when I'm slowly morphing through that wavetable at a particular place in the wavetable where it's doing something interesting? And that is something I think I'm going to have to either find out with my hands on the instrument or have to program up myself to find out. And I used to use Sonic in the same way. The everything from VFX forward had wavetables, and I used to love modulating the wavetables because, as I say, you could get motion that you can't get in a filter, and it was a beautiful kind of nice modulated thing you could do without having to go through ting tong 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 ting ting tong and all of that. Now this thing is very focused on that, and that's all well and good, and I'm sure there's plenty of good uses for it, and there are still cop dramas to be made, but But what and the whole one button, you get the whole dance record on on C2 is that's all very. It's all very.
No, don't say it. It's not.
Such.
No. It's not all very good. Don't say that. It's not all very good. It
crap. Sells instruments. It sells instruments. But what I need to know is how do those wavetables sound when you're sweeping them with an LFO or something, or an envelope generator to get something going on.
It's going to be down to the interpolation, isn't it? It's the interpolation. I mean, I've just reviewed the modal Argon 8, and the interpolation on the wave tables in that is really sweet. So you get beautiful shifting. So I would imagine, Rich, they must have done something good on that.
It should be wonderful. It looks wonderful, and I watched like a half-hour video of a guy who went through every parameter of the face of the thing.
Luke Pop strikes again.
Him. I watched a good portion of his video and the conclusion, and the thrilling conclusion, and it looks like an amazing instrument. I don't know what it costs, but it looks like a fantastic thing.
$699 UK pounds, we think. So round about 7 something in the US, we suspect.
Well,
so
that's a heck of a lot of synthesis for not a heck of a lot of money. And I kind of dug the way the interface. They did some clever things with the interfacing. It is a small window into the world. That thing. It does have a little bit of electronitis, but
yeah.
But and interestingly, they didn't give you the tiny little waveform display that they seem to be putting on everything else they make. But well, speaking of everything else they make, we'll get to that. But it's a nice display. You can work with it. I like the ergonomics, the way they use shift keys and things like that to make these buttons do a whole different range of stuff all the time is very clever. There's some really nice real-time controls that the guy demonstrated that you can do. You can do performance-y stuff with it. It receives poly aftertouch.
So
it doesn't create any.
Yeah, well, that's the case
all.
with many things. I think that will probably be changing with the Hydrasynth manufacturing their own keyboard. I think people will step up and start going, right, we need to start adding these kind of things. And with the advance of Osmos, which we've spoken about before, that I think that will change the topography of what's expected from a keyboard. Just a couple of interesting facts about the WaveState. WaveState, the original, the team, I believe, was headed up by Dave Smith, working for Korg. Sort of out of the ashes of sequential circuits, and also John Bowen was part of that team.
Yay!
And John Bowen said that he was sorry.
Wasn't there a Prophet VS that did wave?
There was,
that had
yeah.
wave
I think there was as well.
available in
I think
it.
that
That's what preceded this
Yeah.
instrument.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're right.
That didn't do wave sequencing. It only did vector.
Did it have resonance?
It did
No,
have
I don't
resonance.
think-
Hey, there we go. There's one.
It may have, but the people who were doing digitally, like Sonic and Korg at that time, did not have a decent resonance available to them. It wasn't because
No.
they were taking a stand. It was because they didn't have it.
They could do it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The
I
modeling
think.
wasn't
I mean,
there.
I wouldn't be surprised if Mr. Rossum had a hand in this somewhere down the line, seeing as most digital advances around that era seem to pass across his desk in some form, whether he was actively involved or just reviewing designs for people. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was some of Dave Rossum's fingerprints on there. But I would have to check with him. I did an interview with him way back, last Super Booth, and we talked about all of that stuff, and it's fascinating. But all of these things have come from a similar sort of legacy. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be interesting. I mean, obviously 37 keys. Some people are going to go, well, I'd rather have 5 octaves, and I feel the same thing because we did the I did the Modal Argon 8, which will be coming up hopefully before NAMM. I'm working hard to try and get that out, and that's only got a 3-octave key bed. And it feels, because it's 8 voice, you're sort of thinking, yeah, I want some more keys, because it sounds good. So yeah.
I'm always the first to moan at small keybeds because I hate them, but I have to say that the way that personally I would use this,
One finger cop mode, right?
That's all I'm going to do. That's it. I don't need any more than 1 octave.
You just need an octave, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. The way that I'm going to use this, because the main thing about this is because of the form factor. Is all I'm bothered about is, does it have full size keys? Yes, it has full size keys. Yeah. They're not the Minilog keys, because I would basically use the keyboard on it to do the programming side of things, which is for me would be the most important reason to use the keyboard in front of it. But then when it comes to the actual playing, I would play it remotely from something else with size. But so for me, it kind of works perfectly because it's such a programmer synth that I just want a keyboard in front of it that's big enough with full size keys to do the programming, and then all the sequencing side of things or playing side of things I do from somewhere else.
Well, a lot of
people
are very excited about it, and I think if they get it right, because it's got like 14 simultaneous effects in it as well, and I imagine if some of those effects are the effects that are in the XD, I mean, you just got the XD attire, you'll know, there's some lovely stuff in there, so I'm hoping, all of that stuff will probably be all part of the same team, as it were. So
just literally my 2 words on the XD, because I know the reason I bought it, as you well know, is essentially you raved about it so much to me that I felt I should. No, genuinely, there's no BS there. That's completely genuine. Nick so raved about it to me, and so I bought one. And as we both kind of agree, it shouldn't sound that good for the money. Really, it shouldn't sound that good. It's an incredible synth for the money. Yeah, So yeah. Anyway,
thank goodness for that. So it's not one of the ones that you're putting on eBay or going into deep storage. shrink wrapped in the archive. Okay, right. Well, anyway, if you want to check that, I mean, Korg have they brought out the SV2 this morning. In their wisdom, what they've been doing is the embargo for all of these. There are more things coming, but I cannot speak of them. I think we know what we're talking about, but
can we not talk about that?
I don't know. Ty can talk about it. I can't talk about stuff.
Well, I've ordered one. So I can order one. I can talk about it. So I've ordered one.
Oh, ordered what?
The new thing from Korg coming out on the 10th, available in February for delivery. Apparently.
All right. Okay.
I'm seeing all the press. All this press about online, this 2600 they're supposed to be building.
I think is that really?
Yeah, I saw all kinds of stuff. I don't have an NDA, and I saw all kinds of stuff online about it. Now,
at the end of the day,
it looks like more than just speculation to me, and even they're teasing it with the size of the road case.
Yeah, so, I did see that. Yeah.
Put it like this: if it is just speculation, I've just wasted £3,200 on speculation.
A flight case. It's a flight case.
So I mean, look, I've signed nothing, and I totally understand and appreciate why Nick can't say a single word. But basically, I'm sure everyone knows there's an ARC 2600 coming out. It's £3,200. It's basically got a sequencer. It hasn't got the full sequencer built in, but it has got a sequencer built in. It's full size and apparently is a work of art and sounds identical, as if there is such a thing as a 2600, because they all sounded different in different evolutions. Yeah. And even every instrument off the same line sounded different, but it sounds identical to a 2600. That's all anyone kind of needs to know, and you don't have to say anything, Nick. Other than
I can't possibly comment. I was about to say, actually, did you see the SV2, which is the stage piano as well? That came out this morning. My point is all of the embargo times are 2 p.m. Japan, which is 5 a.m. UK, which is, fortunately, the CMS which I wrote for this very purpose allows me to schedule these things, so I don't have to get up first thing in the morning and post them. But I don't know, Rich, you're a pianist. I know you're a Roland guy. Have you tried the Korg SVs? Because a lot of people, it's one of those ones that people kind of dig. It's got a valve in it, a 12AX7 or something, and I think the SV2. The SV2 looks like you just get more of that kind of stuff and more sounds and more polyphony and all of those things. And they look kind of cool. Very retro.
Are we talking about SVP1, that red thing that they released some years ago? Is that what the question is?
Yes, that's right.
I've played it. Yes, I've played it.
There's an SV2 now, which is just more of the same. That looks kind of funky.
I was considerably less a fan of that instrument than many people who I respect very highly.
Okay.
I was exactly the same, because I played one and really wanted to love it, and there was just something about it it sounded incredibly artificial against a lot of the competition. But I think,
I know what it is.
Well, oh, do you? Well, I think that I found this.
They took the sample set from their home entertainment products, the ones with the speakers built in and the arrangers and stuff like that.
Okay. That's always a good start.
That's why it sounds like it does. And yeah, it's got a tube, and I remember, and it sounds nice when you warm it up with a little overdrive, but the thing just by itself did not rock my world at all. And I was not, I was literally sitting in the Korg building where I was trying it out, wanting to like the thing.
It looks nice, yeah. It's got an appeal. It's got the aesthetic is nice, and it sort of feels like the aesthetic, if it followed through with the sounds, would have been more rewarding as an experience.
Absolutely. So, I mean, from my point of view, because I was so kind of not unimpressed, it just did nothing for me with the one. Let's hope that the two is. Let's hope it's better.
Yeah, it is. I'm just going to.
Could be.
I think we should probably put in a word from one of our sponsors at this point. This is from Splice. Do check out Splice.
Find the perfect kick, synth preset, or MIDI melody on Splice, plus millions of other royalty-free one-shots and loops, with more added daily. Zero in on the perfect sound, filtered by tags like genre, BPM, key, and instrument. Or search for something else like a feeling or a mood. Browse, search, and preview all your sounds right from the Splice desktop app, and seamlessly drag and drop them directly into your DAW. Your sounds and presets are available everywhere you make music. Keep them forever, no matter what.
That's right. Splice are offering a deal to to us lot. You use the code Sonicstate100 and you use the link which is on.splice.com/2QAAJNO, and there are various capitals. I'm not going to attempt to read them out in their capital form, but I'll put them in the show notes. But do check it out. I was interesting. I was talking to a producer friend yesterday about Splice and how lots and lots of people are making beats now. There's this sort of new movement of people making beats and samples, and Splice really fits the way that people are wanting to acquire those sounds. And also, it's another revenue stream for musicians and producers. You can make a beat, you can put some samples up. It's a really interesting concept anyway, but do check it out. Thanks to splice.com. I was going to say there was another thing, in the chat room was saying, why don't Korg do a PS33 or 3200? And that would be a challenge, because that is massively polyphonic, isn't it? But and they are things of beauty. They're legendary. Actually, Ty, I will ask you, have you got a PS?
No, I looked at 3200 when ago. I can't remember, and basically was told that's the one to avoid. Essentially, you either get the 33 or you get the 3100.
And the 32 is again, dog, is it? 32
is just the one that didn't really have the things that the 31 and the 33 had. But the 33s go for, kind of they're touching kind of 100K basically. Realistically,
hell,
I think it was 80K. I think it was 80K, but plus VAT.
Christ.
You're talking, it was 80 plus VAT. I think was for 33, and a 31 is going for 31's going for about 10, something like that. And the reality is, everyone that's got one that I've that I've talked to has basically said, look, they're nice, but they're nice. And
they're not worth 100 grand.
No. There is, again, it's basically it's more nostalgia, and you wanting to get that kind of Vangelis. It's all about the kind of Vangelis in the tomato stuff. Tomato. That, well done. He was lesser known than Tomato, but go check out Tomato.
Tomatoes 3300. That's possible show title right there. Tomatoes 3300. Right, okay. Well, 100 grand, Rich. You could buy like a top of the range CFX Yamaha custom beautiful. I mean, they're talking real top dollar craftsmanship, and I'm sure Steinway have pianos that cost 100 grand. If you were looking to upgrade your, probably not.
Oh my god, at least 100 grand.
Really?
With a nice Steinway. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow, even more.
Yeah.
Crikey.
Yeah. Oh, easily more. Yeah.
Wow. I don't know. I can't remember where I started that topic. I think I was just bringing it in as a kind of as an interjection from the chat room. What other stuff? I wanted to bring things into a little bit of perspective. We're all people who probably sit in front of computers more than we should do. And I found it's actually Tara Bush posted on Facebook, and it was a really useful article, which is it's on Life Insider. It's 10 piriformis stretches to help you get rid of sciatica, hip and lower back pain. And I've got a video. This is the sort of thing that you might be expected to do if you wanted to look after your piriformis muscle, which is the muscle between your hip and your
which is
pelvis.
A small stabilizing muscle in your hip here. It's commonly used to help treat sciatic nerve pain, hip pain, back pain, knee pain. It's a commonly tight muscle that causes problems. So what you're going to do is you're going to lay down. The side that you're stretching, in this case my right leg, is going to cross over your opposite side. You're going to put one hand on top of your knee, the other hand over your ankle, and then you're slowly going to pull toward your opposite shoulder until you feel a
So that's an example. I dream of being able to pull it that far, but I mean, at the moment, seriously, this is quite important because I've suffered from quite bad back pain from just because I have my screens too low and I got compressed vertebrae in my neck, and that took I had to get that. But it's really important because, especially if you live quite a sedentary existence because of your work, things to watch out for, and that muscle is one of the ones that really can get sort of locked up and cause all of those problems. And I just thought, should maybe mention it. I don't know, Ty, I'd imagine, the amount of work you've done, you must have at least had some twinges in the back department, or have you had it, do you spend a lot of time just trying to keep it right?
Before that, I just want to put forward a episode title of "I dream of being able to pull it back that far," because
I just suggested that in the chat room.
I can't let that one go. Sorry, Nick. That has to be up there.
I'll write it down. It's a bit too on camera.
But look, we'll get the views. We'll get the views. It'll be fine. A whole new audience. I mean, they'll be disappointed, obviously, but it's
clickbait. Clickbait, as in your back going click. There we go. There's a pun for you.
I mean, again, you're talking to someone who's had years and years and years of problems with his back, and it sounds such a cliche, but it is literally. I mean, I've been through all kind of chiropractors. I've had acupuncture, McTimoney. I've had number ones. Hypnotherapy, honestly, everything. My back's been through everything. Something that involved the guy realigning my gums and realigning my neck, rather than all my problems with the lower back, and he was solving it by putting his fingers in my mouth and realigning my gums. I kid you not, and it worked. But the thing that changed all of that, and this is such an easy thing, was getting the right chair. Now, I had been doing what we've all done, which is we've gone to IKEA and we've bought the 80 quid office chair, and I spent years of having that, and my back problems just got worse and worse and worse and worse. And in the end, I forked out on I can't remember what the name of it is. I'm sitting in it now. You know the guys that make the studio chairs? There's something and something. Who are they? Can you
Not Herman Miller.
Yeah.
Yeah, Herman
they
Miller.
do. They do a special range. You've seen this chair. They do a special range where it's all. I don't know whether you can see it. It's all very big. Okay, and it basically supports your back. Now, I have to say that I think this was something like 1,100 quid or something.
Yeah.
Which for a chair, you're kind of thinking that's just ridiculous money, and I'm not going to argue with that. But the reality is, since I've been in this chair, my back pain has more or less completely and utterly disappeared.
Yeah, I think it's really important.
Almost completely.
Really important.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, I mean, Rich, I'm sure you must be the same. I mean, particularly also, you go to visit. You're working in other studios. Engineers and producers bring their own monitors? Do they bring their own chairs? It would seem to make sense to me. If you
Some do.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Some do. So Herman Miller was sort of the de facto high-end studio chair standard for many years, and still is in many cases. And quite often you walk in and see the Aeron chair, which is what I'm sitting on right now.
Me too. Yeah.
There's a guy in the States named Carl Tatz, T-A-T-Z, as you guys say, who makes something called he promotes a technology he calls Phantom Focus, and he has a Phantom Focus chair that people who I love and respect apparently fell in love with this chair. So Carl Tatz's Phantom Focus chair is also worth looking into. And additionally, Carl is a very, very interesting man, and I have heard rooms that he has done that blew my mind. As a audio consultant technologist.
Right.
So anyway, that's something else. Now, as regards this article, obviously stretching, especially if you're locked up in a recording studio, even before the days of computing, which obviously we're all in now, and we're all looking down all the time, holding our handheld devices and such. So stretching is obviously a beautiful thing. And I kind of skimmed through these various videos, and all of them seemed to offer various suggestions that I thought were brilliant. And one of the suggestions that was featured in one of them was this.
Yes.
Which my massage therapist just recently suggested to me, and I started bringing on the road because we could do a podcast on my medical history, but besides that, we've.
That's a bit risque.
Yeah, I saw the tennis.
You could have worn boxers for that shot, really. I know he's got a nice body.
Rich. Is that you, Rich? In that picture?
No,
that's
sorry.
you.
I'm happy to report that's not me.
That's your tennis ball, though. I'm sure of it. Yeah.
It's your ball. It's definitely your ball. I mean, ball, singular.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Rich. I mean, that makes a difference. Makes a real difference.
So one of the things that happens to me is occasionally a rib becomes misplaced in my back. And when a rib becomes misplaced, as apart from your spine becoming out of alignment, it hurts. And it hurts a pretty broad swath of muscle tissue around where that's happening. And I have suffered occasionally on the road where I couldn't find, I'm not really one to lay down on just anybody's table. So anyway, my massage therapist, last time I was there, said, bring a tennis ball. And literally yesterday, I had to repair a rib that was out of place, and I knew exactly where it was. And I got in a door jam with this thing and was able to pop it right back in. And I am a happy, happy man now.
Wow.
So that was some good advice. The stretches that you do on the floor, where you're laying on your side and you take one leg over, that really, really stretches out the muscles of the lower back, and you do one on each side, and you can lay there for a while like that and just like give yourself some like stretching motion like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those are good. The one that I didn't see anybody mention that I also like to do is something I call the call to prayer, where you're basically on your knees on the floor and you go forward over your knees with your arms outstretched, kind of what you see in the call to prayer motion that those Muslim people do. There are other various kinds of stretches, and I sit in lotus position. Anybody who's been with me for any length of time knows I sit in lotus position like a lot. And while I'm sitting in lotus position, I can stretch various things in various directions, and I can lean all the way forward and again extend my arms out and do that kind of thing. So this is all good stuff, and I'm glad it came up. I would encourage people, and they also recommend that you get up and take a break every so often.
By the way, I'm just you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, and I think it's important. I know it's kind of, it seems quite, it seems pretty obvious, but it's the sort of thing that you think, I know I'm fine, and then suddenly you're not, and and when you're not fine, it's like, oh my god, it usually happens. It's probably not going to happen to you in your 20s. It might start to happen in your 30s, but later, the longer you leave it, the worse it gets, because there's a point where it goes, and it can be excruciatingly and debilitatingly difficult. And Rich is brandishing the tennis ball menacingly.
I've had periods in my life where I would at least once or twice a year not even be able to get out of bed as a result of injuries, and went through some very intense therapy to get to a point where that doesn't happen anymore. And I generally don't suffer with those problems anymore, but it took a lot of simultaneous therapies and a fair amount of pain to get there.
Lady Aptitude in the chat room rather amusingly said, your track is only as good as your weakest vertebrae, which I think is a very good line, actually. That's almost a show title there, really. I think I might actually have to grab that one. That's a good one. I'm going to copy and paste that in. The only problem is I don't think I can get all those words in the poster frame. I might have to make this... Anyway, we got that.
Start with only. You could just start with only as good as your weakest vertebrae. It doesn't...
That's true.
Be anything.
That's
Could
true.
be anything.
But I wanted to bring that one up, and thanks to Tara for pointing that out, because I know Tara's really big into yoga, and she does spin. She used to do spin classes, teach spin classes in LA. I don't know if she still does that now, but well said. We should just pop our little message from our friends over at Isotope now. We've got the competition coming up, so stay tuned.
Building on a 17-year legacy in audio mastering, Ozone 9 brings balance to your mix with never-before-seen processing for low-end, real-time instrument separation, and lightning-fast workflows powered by machine learning. Expect lower CPU usage and shorter startup times with Ozone 9 compared to Ozone 8. Experience fluid metering in a fully resizable environment that lets you track the most subtle details of your audio. Use more plugins at once, mix while you master without worrying about slowdowns or dropouts. And immerse yourself in a smooth, modern experience designed to keep you in your creative flow. As you can see, Ozone 9 is the fastest way to get your master off the ground. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out our other videos and head to isotope.com to learn more about mixing and mastering, and to download your free trial of Ozone 9.
Indeed you can, and we thoroughly recommend that that be something that you would check out, because as we know, Isotope stuff is incredibly useful. In fact, this show goes out through, I think it's not I'm trying to remember what it is now. I think it's Nectar. The kind of final process goes on the master bus. But we have a competition for this week, and we're looking for the hashtag 2020 Audiovision. So the number 2020 and the word Audiovision. The hashtag Ozone9 at Sonicstate and at Isotope Inc. That's the hashtag 2020 Audiovision and the hashtag Ozone9 at Sonicstate now. At Isotope Inc. And that's a Twitter competition. If you're picked, you stand the chance of winning Ozone 9 Advanced. That's some pretty pricey and advanced stuff there. So do check that out. And we have a winner from last week with the quizzes show. I actually should mention a little bit about the quiz while we're on it, but I will mention that later. So this time we have the winner is somebody called Imploded View at Imploded View on Twitter. I'd love to bring the balance with Ozone 9 and Sonicstate and at Isotope Inc. And so congratulations to you, Imploded View. If you want to get in touch, you are the winner of episode 601. 602. What am I talking about? Which was the quiz one. Which I should mention, we had a lot of fun with the quiz. It was completely chaos. And I want to say, Rich, you were there. I know it was a bit non-participatory because we had to get through so many questions, which was issue number 1, don't have so many questions. maybe you stick to rounds of 5 next time. Issue number 2, make sure you get your spreadsheets right, because I did actually not have the right winners, and I just like to point that out now. Wagyu won with 32 points, and Azio Head came second with the possible with 27, and then Dave Bolden got 25. So those were the top 3. Top 2 prizes. I think Wagyu got G-Force. I think he got Virtual String Machine, and Azio Head was choosing something from the Audio Damage range, because Chris Randall from Audio Damage very kindly donated a prize. We will do it again, and now I've got it sorted out, it'll work even better. And Ty, I want to say thank you, mate, for those picture round questions, because I used to do that on Facebook. I used to put up a couple of pictures, go, can you guess what it is? And they were quite popular, but yours were really tough.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, as you know, I sent you twice as many.
Yes.
You actually put on weren't the most difficult. There were more difficult ones than that. What I really want to have a word with everyone, though, about is dissing my dust, because the problem I had with that, you've seen my, so all the kind of stuff is in there, and so that doesn't get dust a lot. And because you've also seen you can't get to lots of it to get to stuff, so I was there having to zoom in.
Okay.
Zoom right in. I couldn't even if I had a feather duster, I wouldn't be able to reach it with the feather duster. These things are like kind of 10 feet away with me zooming in, and then all I get is look at the layers of dust on that.
Yeah.
So
ungrateful. But it was a great round. It was good fun. And I think it. The other thing I know with some of those questions were just too difficult. I think they were a bit obscure.
Just some of them were really obscure, I have to say. But look, it worked really well. I mean, I was just kind of looking. I think I was on a train at the time, doing it from a train. And it was fun. And hats off to you, Nick, because you did really well in some mitigating circumstances.
I had to chaperone a little bit too hard on that one, I think, because I was just thinking this is going to take 3 hours if I don't speed things along. I'd suddenly realised, like after the first round, it's been 30 minutes and we've only done one round. Rich, I got to ask you, because Mark Tinley very kindly donated his Duran Duran round, which was really obscure and really difficult, but you worked with those guys. How many of those do you think you got, just out of curiousness, if you can recall? Because, I mean, if anyone would get a high percentage, I would assume you probably did okay. You're muted. It's not me. Take a drink.
Well, yes, they were asking me to. I did it for them. I did it all for them. Anyway, I think I got about half of them. There were some I didn't know. There were others I did that other people don't know. Like Nick Rhodes' real name, stuff like that. I knew that. There were other things. He was building on a narrative, and I never really joined that narrative, but I did know certain things along the way. And I thought one of them was really misleading.
Absolutely.
The sad part about it is, because I'm a real Stephen Duffy fan, so I was getting all the early ones, the difficult one about the Devils and Stephen Duffy, that Duran Duran fans are going, who the hell's this? They're the only ones I got. So
I do. One thing that I will say that Mark very kindly sort of brought to my attention again, because there's a track by the Lilac Time called Black Velvet, which is absolutely, if you get a chance to listen to it, the only one I could find on YouTube was not the single version. It doesn't have all the beautiful synth modulated sort of choral stuff.
Oh, okay.
But it's a beautiful piece of work. It's a really fantastic song, and it's just it sort of reminds me of like almost XTC. It's got this kind of quirky British sort of almost folk root to it, but it's beautiful.
The Lilac Time for me are one of the most underrated bands ever. Basically, the Lilac Time was basically Stephen Duffy and what is now his wife and his brother, and they were going from the kind of mid to late 80s, and it's kind of folky. It's very British, but they've gone through different stages. But the songwriting, Stephen Duffy's songwriting, is
very, very good.
Is on a it's a whole different level, and yet he's so. Never gets respect for it, but check out the Lilac Time. Definitely.
Of its time, yes, I would concur. Right, so video 3 I've got here is this guy. That's video 3 in my list. This is the new Roland A88 Mark II controller. That looks absolutely massive. 3 zones. I believe it's 88 keys, hammer action. onboard arpeggiator, customizable zones, controllers.
3 zones?
3 zones seems a bit light on 88 keys, but maybe there's other things you could do. USB-C powered, you can be. Also, MIDI 2.0 compatible. So ready. It's a bit like HD ready. We don't know what aspects of MIDI 2.0 is going to be, but hey, there we go. I know, Rich, you seemed incredulous that it was only 3 zones, and I didn't
realize that. Yeah, RD2000's got 8. I don't understand. Their flagship workstation synth nowadays has 8, which was double the 4 that they've been promoting for 15 years, and now they're back to 3. And do I use them? Yes, sometimes. I'd like to have the 8. I don't really like the RD2000, but I'd like to have 8 of them. I do find myself running out with only 4 sometimes, where I want to have where I have 2 layered things and I want to have something else going on. I can't do it. I'm limited to the 4 on the ones that I use, the older ones that I use. Why there's only 3, I don't know. Obviously, they've been looking at Native Instruments because they've got fancy colored lights down at one end, and that seems to be the Native Instruments hardware signature these days. And I imagine it probably is beautiful and feels great. I'd have to play it. As I said, I'm not a fan of the 2000, and that's supposed to be their flagship right now. So,
well, the 2000, the thing I saw, because we Ed Diaz, who did the demo for us when we looked at
the 2000,
really fantastic. I mean, it was just like, wow, this is really kind of a great master controller in terms of what you can do with that. I don't know about the sound so much, but I mean, it definitely seemed to be like on the money, because it was, most live players now, lots of keyboard players now, they don't just have to play parts, they've got to have like an octave of samples or loops or triggers or hits. There's tons of stuff you've got to do. It's not just about keyboard playing. There are, and having 88 keys means you want to be able to split it up. I mean, you can do it in software at the other end as well, I suppose.
I was going to say, I think the reality is, the way I'm looking at this, is that they're looking at this 2 markets. Mainly, I would say, in front of a door and having it as your master controller, in which case the amount of splits and layers you have isn't so important. And then I honestly think that if you're going to be using it live, whether you like it or not, I mean, Rich is here to completely contradict this, but most people are doing things in main stage, and so all the splits and the programming and whatever from when I did it was all of that was done in main stage. So I think although I totally get what Rich is saying, and 3 doesn't seem a lot, I think for the market they're aiming at, I think there will be a lot of people who won't even use 3. I think they will either be doing it in main stage, or when you're using it with the DAW, it's not really that important. I think the main thing going for this is the key bed, which I think is the same as the 2000. I think it is. I think it's their latest Ivory Touch one, which I love their key beds. Roland make nice key beds, and I mean all the lights and the controllers look nice. They'll be useful, but I still think there's always the one thing I always think Roland miss is, even back in the day, they realized this with the A80 back in the late 80s, which was the Roland Bender is all very nice. It's lovely, and it really has its uses with the front mod push and that. But there are times when you really just want wheels, and Roland got that right on some products where they will they give you the joystick, but they also then give you wheels as well. Perfect combination. And I think the fact that they've lost the wheels now and you're just on the joysticks is, for me, a bit of a limitation for me personally.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, because when you did the Spitfire library thing, I noticed you were using controllers, sort of the wheels and faders essentially to kind of to bring in certain things, and wheels would make more sense, I guess.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, as you know, so I use the Studio Logic, I use the 88, I use the Grand, which has the 3 joysticks, which you can basically assign in a whole load of different ways. But one is not springed, one is springed in one direction, and one is completely stiff in one direction and flexible in the other. So all 3 joysticks do completely different things, which means they can simulate anything, and it's the perfect combination. And I just think the Roland, I don't know, if this had wheels, I think this would as well, I think this would kind of have an extra level, but they've kind of missed a bit of a trick there for me. But the action will be lovely, and I'm sure it's a great for what it is. So,
Rich, how do you feel about real wheels or the combined the bender kind of thing that Roland do? I never really got on with that so much, but
I used their stage pianos on for years now, so I'm okay with the bender. It's okay. It's not. I don't do enough with it. I like what I like the best is a ribbon controller for what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But horizontally mounted, CS80 style, Roland 2000. No, Kurzweil 2000 style.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. You can make broad gestures and yeah.
Yeah, I can go bow really easily. Whereas trying to do that with either a wheel or the Roland thing is a little wacky. But ultimately, they're all good, and I can see Ty's point absolutely about wishing that this thing had some wheels on it or a wheel on it or something like that. And I'll bet you it's a wonderful product. I'd have to play it. I don't like the RD2000 keyboard. Unusual for them is a keyboard I don't particularly enjoy playing, and I've loved their key beds for years and years and years, and I still do, and I still play them on stage because I love them. But that one does not work for me. And I wonder what this one's like.
For me, the absolute ultimate one was the one that they had on the V piano, because the action on the V piano is
very nice piano.
Cool.
That was a very nice action. Yes.
Yeah, the action on the V piano, for me, they're absolute peak, because it's just beautiful action. As a pianist, beautiful action. But I don't know whether they actually did put that in any other products. I imagine them. It was because it was a V piano originally. It was extremely expensive, so I'd imagine it was. A lot of that was. Yeah, it was a lot of. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I remember.
I think it's deeper. Yeah. I think it's a deeper key physically than what they put in their workstations.
Yeah, it is a very deep. It does go very deep.
Pretty deep.
Right. Yeah. So you get that pivot or whatever it is, the technical.
But the RD800 piano feels great. I love playing the RD800. It feels good to me to play. I enjoy what it does, and for that kind of work that I do on it, it's fine. The 2000 feels spongy to me, and I can't help it not. I keep trying to like it, and it just feels spongy to me at the bottom of the key, and I can't explain it, but there's something weird about it. And I know other people who are way better piano players than me who love it. So
I'm just looking to see the spec. I can't see whether it's poly or mono aftertouch. I would imagine it's probably mono aftertouch.
I think it's mono aftertouch. I'll tell you why it's mono aftertouch, because if it had poly aftertouch, they'd be making one hell of a thing about it.
That's very true.
And again, the disappointment is that the very first one in the late 80s, the A80, had poly aftertouch, and this was 30 something years ago. The A80 I had one, and it was it had the heaviest I've ever keyboard, and to get the aftertouch, you literally had to play the note and then almost literally lean on it. But it did have poly aftertouch, and that was in 1987, 88.
Poly aftertouch and a certificate, a special voucher for RSI clinic, I'd imagine. Yeah.
Well, maybe that's what caused all my back problems. It was actually so. Yeah, but no, it's got to have mono aftertouch, because they would have making a song and dance if it did have poly aftertouch.
You're probably right.
So,
I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. We didn't. I know it's not always a popular topic here, but obviously Behringer released a whole bunch of stuff towards the end of the year. We got the octave thing. Was it the cat or the kitten? I forget which one it was. And the other thing that looked quite interesting there was the Clark Technic Dimension D, which. I know it's a very classic piece. I wonder if it's got the ability to plug in to press all four buttons on the front, because wasn't that the way you used to have to do the DIM-D to get the special source sound, Rich? It came over from the American production, I seem to remember, the DIM-D.
I'm sorry, I lost you. I was responding to something.
That's all right. The Dimension D. You remember that you had to press all four buttons in. Yeah.
Well, the 4-button thing came from the Yuri 1176, actually, and everybody started deciding to push all the buttons in on everything they got just to see what happens.
And sometimes
I never like to use the Dimension D that way, but I did like to use it occasionally on one or the other of the existing chorus buttons on it, and I loved it pretty much all the time until the bass guitarist wanted to use it.
Oh, I know. Isn't that all right? Is it acceptable to use that on a fretless bass, but not
on a fretless in 1987? It was acceptable, but it's now not 1987. So for probably about 3 weeks, it was acceptable.
You don't mind giving up all your bottom? Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to do.
Yeah.
Well, okay, fair enough. Well, anyway, I think was there any other business? I think because I spoke to Gaz and he was we're going to talk about Cubasis, but he was very keen because I know he uses it, and I don't.
Oh, that's Gaz's. No, that's
Gaz's territory. So I might just leave that out. Was there anything else that anybody wanted to kind of to bring in on that on the topic list? I think we've pretty much covered everything. Oh, there was the only other thing was the Roland GoCast, which is a bit outside our scope, but I don't know if you saw that. That was pretty cool. Did you see this thing? This is like a little vision mixer. It's like the Roland Go Mix, but you can plug a mobile phone into it and Wi-Fi another phone. So you get 2 cameras and 3 channels of audio, and you can stream out via an app. It's kind of actually a really, because everybody's trying to do this kind of thing at the moment and streaming. And this looks like something that would be pretty cool. I imagine taking this to a rig at NAMM with an iPad and a remote phone, having a 2-camera shoot. Wouldn't have to carry too much stuff. It's like $249.
So I make an outline.
You see, anything like that makes things just easier. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it kind of looks like there's nothing revolutionary in there. It just makes something easier in one box. That absolutely makes sense.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see because in that one in that clip they had obviously the guy with the camera, but then another guy with a gimbal which would be connected to Wi-Fi. It's not clear whether you need to have a laptop and a network port or whether you can just use the Go app on your phone to connect directly to your streaming source and create your own Wi-Fi network and then share it as a hotspot with the other camera coming in. Because we used to use that. There was a Switcher Studio Pro was what we used to use. We had multiple cameras for our live events. I don't know, you might remember the first one, Ty, where we had just iPhones. We had 4 of them,
yes,
and an iPad, and all connected via Wi-Fi and then streaming out via them. And it was patchy, but impressive at the time. We've retired that now. I think we did use it for our second stage in the event we did at in Bristol at D&B. The school D&B.
Yeah.
But yeah, this kind of looks cool. I mean, if you're doing videos and you need that sort of thing, and because the cameras now are fantastic in these things. I mean, even I bought this phone. My mum needed a new phone, so I bought this. Right, this is just a Xiaomi. It was 120 quid, and it's just got an incredibly good camera in it. And I mean so it doesn't need a contract. Just stick your SIM in there. And that, you can plug that in. But the hard thing to find is audio in. And so the Go Mix was one way, but I must admit, I will bring this up because I bought this because I was thinking I was going to use it at NAMM, because sometimes you bump into people and you think, I'll shoot some sort of an interview, but you need to take a GoPro and other stuff. And I found this guy, which is just it's just a regular lapel mic with USB-C on it. And you just plug that into your phone. Wow. You've got audio straight in. Use something like Filmic Pro. And you're there, you could just hold that. Because I did some interviews at Roland launch event last year, and I interviewed Kibo and Rachel K. Collier using the very same stuff, but with a GoPro instead of my phone. And that just means that you can actually because the sound is the most important thing. The vision you can live with, a slightly shoddy image, but if the sound is crappy, then it's really rough. So it's well worth. Yeah. $250 could be worth having. Hey, Rich, what have you got? You got your Apogee One, yeah, but that's the same size as my phone.
So I'll just say, whoa, can I just point out? Whoa. I just want to go back. Talk about first world problems.
Yeah.
Just take your self back 5 years. If you turn around and go, oh my God, that's so big. It's the same size as my phone.
Yeah, I suppose so. That's fair enough. But yeah, I get. But
it's bigger than your phone. Oh, forget that one then, Rich.
Well, okay, Rich, I'll raise you. I'll raise you, and that's my interview kit.
Yeah, that's
so
nice.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So so this.
But this thing has the microphone built in.
Okay, it's got the mic in it. Right,
it does,
okay,
and it sounds great. Actually,
I bet it does. Yeah, I bet it does. Excellent. Well, anyway, I just thought I'd throw that one in there as a sort of random one. So that's going to be coming out. We're going to see all the, next week is going to be the NAMM show. We're going to be there. We're going to go and see Roland. We're going to go and see all of these people. We've got plenty of stuff to see. There's probably going to be some new releases. If what Ty was talking about earlier manifests itself, we'll probably go and see that as well, assuming we haven't already got any video shot, but I couldn't possibly comment. And so therefore... it's going to be a big week for content. There's going to be a ton of stuff. So if you see us over at NAMM, come and say hi. We will be running around a little bit, but we can always stop and say hello and, all of those things. So, wow, 2020 starting with a bang. I know. When do you go back to work, Ty? Like full schedule working. I mean, I'm not saying you're not working now. You're working like a normal person now. When are you going back to the work that's going to basically finish you off if you don't slow down?
Well, I'm in a really fortunate position because the work that's not going to finish me off, which is doing Midge, I can't even talk about more than Midge and I are doing at the moment, but there's no set deadline on that, so that's cool. And then the work that, as you quite rightly say, will essentially kill me eventually, I've literally managed to get a clear book. They sound so ridiculous, turning around and going, most composers, they're going, God, no, I need work. With me, I've said no to enough stuff to have kind of as long as I like off. Really?
Well, that's good. I think you need it.
So
I think you should
fantastic.
look after yourself. We want you to be around. I'm being selfish here.
No. But genuinely, that's the bottom line. It got to a stage where again, we could go on for hours about burning yourself out, but I was so close to genuinely to burning myself out. I kind of took a step back and realized that, and so I'm genuinely just taking things easy and taking time off, and it's great. And just we're talking about my ear that's been completely screwed for the last 2 weeks. You'll be pleased to know that in the middle of the show, it's
returned.
It's been like me like that for 2 weeks, and it's come back during the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a Christmas. Well, it's a post-Christmas miracle, ladies and gentlemen.
Yay! It is, and it came unto being that Nick laid his hands upon me.
It's probably maybe it's the SPL I'm sending via my mic that's some incredible crunchy audio that loosened whatever it was. Actually, talking of composers, great to see Hilda. I can't pronounce her name, getting a Golden Globe for her.
Absolutely fantastic.
Her yeah, absolutely
fantastic.
Yeah.
First
time ever, I think, that we've had a woman win. Which is ridiculous,
and
isn't it?
Long. It's long overdue, and plus the fact that kind of we all sit there going, we all want that score that's going to be a groundbreaking score, something different, something new. And before her, there was basically the last one that really did something really new was Dunkirk, and before that, and whatever. So it's great to have some. It was a great score, and it has to be said, she's a woman, which is fantastic, absolutely brilliant. So.
Excellent stuff. Well, Ty, have a great. You can watch NAMM from afar. I'm going to get you out there one day. You'll enjoy it. You'd absolutely have a wonderful time. I know you were going to do it at one point, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, but I will absolutely do it. I will do it. But meanwhile, I will literally just be sitting here working out the list of things. The things to buy list. So it's always fun. I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah,
excellent. Well, lovely to have you, Ty. Thanks for joining us, and also Mr. Rich Hilton. And are you sticking around for a little while? Are you back on the road, kind of right away?
No, I'm home for a little bit.
Excellent.
We will resume the heavy touring in March, back with Cher through America and Canada some more places I still haven't seen. There are places we haven't been yet, and. We'll do some more of that for a couple of months, and in between now and then we have a few one-off private shows, one of them in a very distinguished palace not far from you.
Excellent. That's my mother's house, yeah.
Yeah, that would be it. And we're playing in the back garden
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, just Skyping in, frankly. Yeah. Well, lovely to have you, Rich. And we won't have another show, obviously, because we'll be at NAMM next weekend, next Wednesday, and then the Wednesday after, I'll be travelling back, waiting for a coach from Heathrow. On travel arrange. Yeah, so it's brilliant. My flight lands just at the point where I can't catch the right coach and I have to wait another 2 hours. But I'm so over driving back from airports after a long transatlantic flight. I didn't really want to do that, so I'm just being cheap.
Well,
fall asleep.
I will be hanging on your every video.
Well, that's a challenge. We'll hope to make everybody enjoy all of them. Anyway. That's it for Sonic Talk number, what was it? It was 603, good Lord. First for 2020. That's it for this time. We'll see you all next time. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you online at NAMM time. See you later. Bye-bye now.